tremendous looking trophy.
Welcome to the number one PlayStation podcast in the Oceanias. My name's John Blight, and joining me, as always, Ashley Hobley.
Hey Dylan, excited to be here to talk about PlayStation news this week. Stuff that actually happened.
Yep, it's true. Stuff has happened this week. We've got a few big things. Got a couple stories here that are on the cusp of being a week old because that's just how it worked out. But that's fine. So in the trophy cabinet, silver trophy for free PlayStation games because they're always good. A gold trophy for a new PlayStation studio. They're always good. And we hit a platinum for a set of new PlayStation VR controllers. Of course, it's probably the most exciting thing we're going to be talking about, and that comes at the tail end of the show. So stick around for that one. But let's jump into the first thing. Firstly, Push Square writes a Media Molecules Siobhan? Sobin? How do you reckon? You want to give me a? How do you reckon? Yeah. How do we?
I know this.
Yeah.
No.
No. Okay. So I'm trying. Siobhan Reddy to receive BAFTA Fellowship Award. So this was pretty cool. BAFTA announced that Reddy, studio director of Media Molecule, will be awarded the BAFTA Fellowship at this year's Games Award ceremony. The Fellowship Award is the Academy's highest honor given to individuals for their achievement and contributions to the medium. Reddy will receive the award for her creative contribution to the industry, as well as her pioneering work on advocacy. Good Lord, Ashley, for diversity, inclusion, and creative and collaborative working culture. Reddy joined Media Molecule shortly after its founding in 2006 and was named studio director just a few years later. She said she's, quote, incredibly honored and moved to be, and quote, to be receiving the fellowship. So this is very cool. Obviously, big award, big thing. I feel like the BAFTA Games Awards, the honors they give actually do mean something because it's, well, yeah. I feel like
they hold some credence and legacy.
Yes, that's what I mean. Yeah, I think they hold a certain regard, especially because a lot of the BAFTA awards are more I guess they're more highest honors for the arts more so than just like they do. Yeah, it's like so. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's great.
Yep. So congrats, Siobhan Reddy.
Is that it?
Yep.
Do you Google that?
Bloody Irish people, yes.
How do you say it?
Siobhan.
Siobhan. Okay, yeah, there we go. This is like how do you say it? Saoirse Ronan, right?
Yes.
Saoirse Ronan. Not Sarah Rose Ronan or whatever. It's just Saoirse Ronan, right?
Saoirse.
Yeah, go on. Anyway. There you go. In case you didn't know that, by the way, the key star of Little Women. That's how you say her name. It's Saoirse.
Saoirse.
I could be like 99. I could be a little bit off on my exact pronunciation there, but it's Saoirse. Saoirse with the Sarah Rose. You know what I'm saying? So congrats to Reddy, whose name I completely fucked up, but that's fine. I meant in good regard. Push Square then writes, PlayStation players getting 10 free PlayStation 4 games this spring, including Horizon Zero Dawn. So this list could grow by tomorrow because they keep adding to it. Seemingly, I don't know what they were like. Hey, you're gonna have Ratchet. Remember, like a month ago, or whatever it was, they're like Ratchet and Clank, the first of these like play at home games, and then they're like, we'll do some more down the road. And then the other week, a week ago, they were like, here's like 10 more games.
You have some more.
And then a couple days later, they're like, you know what, we're going to add Horizon to that list for anyway. Yeah, so they're bloody going off. They write, Sony has significantly expanded its Play at Home 2021 initiative, announcing that PlayStation players can look forward to a total of 10 free games this spring. No subscription required. Once redeemed, they're yours to keep forever. Starting from the 25th of March, you'll be able to download and enjoy the following PS4 titles for the sweet price of nothing. So they are Abzu, Enter the Gungeon, Res Infinite, Subnautica, and The Witness. And then you get 4 PSVR games for free on top of that. Astrobot Rescue Mission, Moss, Thumper, Paper Beast. Now it's worth, of course, putting an asterisk on Res Infinite, which is as well a PSVR game. So there's a bunch of games. And then they also announced that on 19th of April, you'll be able to grab Horizon Zero Dawn complete edition for free. So that includes the Frozen Wilds expansion. You can finally add that to your thing. This is on top of, as I just mentioned, Ratchet and Clank, which was available until I think it's either today or tomorrow. Like, I know you better be, if you haven't redeemed it by now. It's I'm pretty sure it like goes out when these other games pop on the 25th or whatever. So, be quick, get on that. Yeah. Any games stick out in this list or the things that maybe you're not like, stuff that you would want to play, or you're like, oh, that's cool to give that away for free.
I mean, Astrobot Rescue Mission. The more people who can have access, the better. It's interesting. Obviously, The Witness was PS Plus game recently, but I guess if you don't have PS Plus, now you've got, The Witness, which is a very good game. And then the only other one on that list I played is Enter the Gungeon, which is a good, roguelite or whatever
the genre is. Twin stick shooter thing.
Twin stick shooter, yeah. Yep. Top down.
Yeah.
Challenging. Yeah. So.
Yeah, so it's like, as far as I know, they're all pretty, like, Abzu is...
I'm pretty sure if you've been on PS Plus for a long time, you probably have a lot of these games already.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think Abzu, Subnautica, The Witness, maybe, like, what was it? A couple of those PSVR games. I don't know. Half of them are probably been on PS Plus, to be real. But also the important thing with this is that these free games are for everyone, not just people who have PS Plus. So maybe people, if you didn't have PlayStation Plus and you missed out, so...
Is this also like a small like incentive to pick up a console if you haven't got one already? It's like, if you haven't got a PS4, you can buy one and you can get these 10 free games. 11 if you got it earlier. For nothing, so... I mean...
It's good,
it's not bad.
The thing about Horizon as well that I was thinking is they never included Horizon in that... What's it called on PlayStation?
The PS Plus collection?
Yeah, they never include it in the PlayStation Plus collection. So I guess there you go. You can, like, if you don't have it already, you can have it now, I guess. Yeah,
just make sure you redeem it between now and
until 14th of May it'll be available. 19th of April to the 14th of May, they say here. So you got a month to grab it. That Horizon thing though, I was thinking like, man, do I try and finally play the Frozen Wilds? Is that a thing I should be trying to do? Like with Horizon Forbidden West coming out this year, should I actually try and do Frozen Wilds? Even though, like, everyone says it's good DLC. It's not. It's important for the story. Like, it's a bridge between the two games, basically. I'm sure it won't be super important. Like, I'm sure they'll explain anything that's important that happens in it, like in the opening cutscene of Forbidden West. But the one thing that always turned me off it is I remember like reviews being like, "Oh man, if you haven't played Horizon for a while, you can't remember what to do. Get ready to do some Googles to like remember what's weak and good against certain dinos or whatever." You know what I mean? So I was like, well, no, but I never got it. I don't think I ever brought it. Like, would I have got it? Was there a season pass? No, there wasn't. I would have had to pay for it, wouldn't I? So no, I never opened it. Did you have any interest in? Would you care to ever try that out before Forbidden West, or you just like nah at this stage?
No, at this point it'd be tough to go back. I feel like, unless they gave like some sort of, well, maybe if you like did a refresher YouTube video or something. I was like, here's how to play the game before you play Forbidden West.
I feel like someone's probably done something like that, so that could be a thing. But I'm like, I don't know. Like now, since I'm about to own it, that I never really thought about it because I wasn't going to spend the money on it. So there's certainly been a couple times where I've seen it go on sale for like $10 at Amazon and stuff like that, or on the PlayStation Store, and I've been like, should I play Frozen Wilds? Don't know. My copies disappeared into the ether for like the last 3 years as well, so wasn't really ever an option. I haven't had Horizon on deck since the game came out. I know where it is, by the way. Here's a fun tangential story for you. What year is it? 2017, right? 2017 Horizon comes out. I get that nice steelbook that comes in the collector's edition. You know what I'm talking about? Nice sleek steelbook. I play the game, platinum the game, smash that out in, the first whatever how many weeks of the game's release. Cool story. Shri from explosionnetwork.com says, "Hey, can I borrow that? I'd like to play that." I go, "No problem." I send it to her.
In the steelbook case?
In the steelbook case.
The really nice one that looks
really
good on
nice
the shelf?
Yeah. That shows how much trust I put within her. Anyway, I haven't seen the game since. That's it. That's my story.
But you visited her recently, right?
Yeah, and you know what she said? "Oh, do you want me to find Horizon to give it back to you?" You know what I said? Yes. You know what ended up happening? Completely forgot about it. Didn't happen. Still got it somewhere. my copy of Horizon, I owned for like a couple months. I sent to her. Yeah. She's now had it for years. I've literally owned it for like 5% of its lifetime.
Yeah.
She has
she played it.
She has packed it. I don't think so. I don't think she. I can't remember if she started it. But she definitely didn't finish it. She has literally packed that up and moved it across the country several times.
We hope.
And I still haven't got it back. That's my Horizon Zero Dawn tangential story for you. So, moral of the story is don't lend games to people. You won't get them back. Just don't get them back. Don't do it. Don't
in that video where the Adam Boyland and Shuei Yoshida share discs, Shuei didn't give it back.
That's true. So maybe that's the moral of the story. That maybe I fucked myself. Maybe it's my fault for thinking I would.
It's a one-way transaction.
Yeah, maybe I didn't understand.
They need to make an informative video of how to return video.
Maybe I didn't get the full memo. Can I lend your game? If it's a PlayStation game, lend actually means can I just
return
take
eventually.
Your game? Can I just keep your game? Goddamn. Maybe it's funny now because I'm like, will I ever see that before Forbidden West, or will I eventually buy Forbidden West and be holding it and going, wow, I owned the first game for a couple months, haven't seen it since, and now here's the second one. What a life we've had. All right, well played, rights. well-played.com.au. Jade Raymond forms Haven, a new independent studio working on an unannounced PlayStation title. So this is fucking hilarious to me. After leaving a VP position, Google's now shuttered efforts to produce first-party games for its flagging Stadia platform. Industry veteran Jade Raymond has announced the creation of a brand new independent studio in Montreal named Haven Studios. Raymond has worked on major video game publishers from EA to Konami to Ubisoft and had a hand in birthing franchises like Assassin's Creed and Watch Dogs, made the announcement via the PlayStation blog, citing the desire to get back to what she loves doing most, creating games and giving teams the freedom to create, inspire, and explore. Raymond writes about her goals for Haven as it works on a brand new title specifically for PlayStation. She said, and so today I'm announcing Haven, an independent studio where many of talented game developers I've worked with for years and love dearly are coming together to do what we're most passionate about. It's time for us to refocus on games in a place where we can practice our crafts without any barriers or impediments. We want to create worlds where players can escape, have fun, express themselves, and find community. We want to pour our passion into a project. We want to make something wondrous for people to experience, because we believe in the power of games and bringing joy to people's lives. And Sony does too. Their commitment to excellence is unmatched. It's why I couldn't be happier for their backing and support. So let's get this out of the way quickly. This is great. Everyone respects Raymond as one of the key what would you call it? Key big video game prolific video game people, right? I guess that's kind of how you could word it. She is a known name. Like if you say Jade Raymond, a lot of people go, I know who that is. They can think about games she's worked on, or you've at least heard her name thrown out a lot because she's talked about a lot. The hilarious part to me about this, of course, is the Google thing, because Google with Stadia were literally like, Stadia, it's coming soon. Here's our fucking first announcements. It's exciting. We've got Jade here. She's going to create us all these games. Stadia, be fucking fantastic. And everyone went, man, that sucks because I like games that she makes. I can't that's unfortunate that I won't be able to play them because they'll be on Stadia. Oh man, that sucks. And then however long passed, like a year and a half, 2 years, I don't even remember. Time flies, hey. And then they were like, cool, Stadia is a thing that's probably, it still works, but it's dead, kinda. And then, you know, now she's like, I'm at PlayStation now. I kind of feel bad because it's like, what did she do? You know what I mean? Like what happened? Like I can't imagine spending 2 years or however long it was just like working on something and then we're like, well that sucks. I guess I'll go start something brand new over here in this corner and see what happens there. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, similar kind of thinking. It's like, what has she done for us lately? You know, because not only before the Stadia move, she was working at
rude.
Motive over at EA, and during that period, you know, they didn't really release anything. They didn't release their own game until Squadrons last year. They helped on Battlefront 2, but other than that, you know, they've been kind of spinning their wheels. You know, is it? And then before that, I think she worked on Splinter Cell Blacklist, but you know, and then been the executive producer on a few other Ubisoft titles. So
if you want like a quick Wikipedia credits here for people who want to keep up, because I get what you're saying, but I think she has had some terrible fucking luck, or some like she's or made some bad choices with who to work with. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So from her early years, it was. And there could be other things here, of course, because often Wikipedia doesn't list exactly everything someone worked on. It's usually sometimes only like big enough roles that they got like major credits for or whatever. Anyway, so it says Sims Online, Assassin's Creed, which she was the producer on the original. Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of Patriot, managing director. Assassin's Creed 2, executive producer. Assassin's Creed Bloodlines, executive producer. Blacklist, executive producer. Watch Dogs, executive producer. Assassin's Creed Unity, managing director. Far Cry 4, managing director. The Mighty Quest for Epic Loot, that was fucking trash. Executive producer. And then Star Wars Battlefront 2, SVP Group General Manager at EA for that. And then, like, as it says here on her Wikipedia page, it says she left the Motive Studios in 2018, alluding to a top secret project. In 2019, she announced that she joined Google as vice president during the 2019 Game Developers Conference. And then Google confirmed that she is heading Google Studios, Stadia Games and Entertainment to create exclusive content for Google Stadia streaming service. And then on February 1st, 2021, she announced she had departed. So she literally, in 2018, late 2018, left EA. In early 2019, said she's going to work at Google. And then February 2021, she announced she's leaving Google. What? There's just a bunch of nothing, you know? And I'm not to like shit on her. It's just...
just bad luck.
It's bad luck, but like... Yeah, she hasn't done much lately. I don't think that's her fault. Also, it's not like she wasn't doing anything. I'm sure she was working on plenty.
Yeah.
That won't see the light of day. You know, so...
But was it good or not? We don't know. So, you know, it's hard.
Know.
I mean, just temper your expectations is all I'm saying.
You would say that, wouldn't you?
I know.
I mean, like, even here it says, to July 2015, Raymond announced that she joined Electronic Arts and formed Motive Studios. So she formed Motive Studios, based in Montreal. She was also to be in charge of Visual Game Studio, located in California, where she worked with the game designer and writer Amy Hennig on Star Wars games, and also to develop a brand new IP. LOL.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I can't... And I guess you could turn it and say, man, maybe it's her fault. I don't think it is. That's not... I just think...
I mean...
It's some wow,
she didn't make the games that the executive wanted. So, is that part of her job? I don't know.
But it's like, and it says here, like, 2018, she was named in Variety list of 500 most influential business leaders. In January 9th, 2018, she was named the board of director of the Academy of Interactive Arts and Scientists. Like, she's someone that many people respect, especially within the industry. So even if you list off this list of games that I just said that she's got key credits on, and you go, don't care for any of those, Dylan. she doesn't excite me. Why should I give a fuck? I think the fact that she is so respected within her own, like by her own peers or whatever, within the video game industry by video game developers and whatnot, that she's been inducted and listed in these types of places. I think that's a reason why you should care. I don't think it should be like, oh, I don't care about Assassin's Creed or whatever. So I don't know. I would also say that I have more faith, surely, that now that she's inside PlayStation, she'll actually release something. I mean, I'm sure it's going to take 2, 3, 4, I don't know, years.
Several years, yeah.
Unless they're doing like a smaller title first, maybe, because she's just like, can I please, for the love of God,
just release something.
Fucking release something, you know? So we'll see. So that was interesting. Fucking Google, Kotaku writes, Spider-Man still isn't coming to Avengers anytime soon. So this is also kind of funny to me. They write Spider-Man is still coming to Marvel's Avengers and will remain exclusively available on PS4 and PS5. However, the developers of the game confirmed that the original release window for Spidey, being early 2021, is no longer accurate. Talking to IGN, Crystal Dynamics head of studio Scott Amos explained that the playable Spider-Man is being worked on and is still on their roadmap. Interestingly, Spider-Man isn't on a just released roadmap for the future of Avengers. Instead, the plan ends in winter with the release of Black Panther and a new expansion set in Wakanda. And according to Amos, Spider-Man won't be arriving until after Black Panther, far and beyond the originally promised release window of early 2021. So this is funny to me because remember before the game came out and they announced Spider-Man was going to be exclusive to PlayStation and everyone like chucked the fucking shit and was like, this is fucked. Can't play it on PC, can't play it on Xbox. Well, look, no one's crying now because Spider-Man is never coming to this game. So the game's going to probably die before fucking Spider-Man releases at this stage. So no one will ever see Spider-Man. Everyone got upset about nothing. Boo-hoo. Who'd have fucking third it? You know what I'm saying, Ash? The game's dead.
No, it's not dead, There's still, they've announced their roadmap. There's still hope, I think obviously COVID threw a massive.
You sound so hopeful. There's still hope.
There's still hope. I think COVID threw a massive spanner in the works. Obviously, they didn't expect the game to not be where it was at launch and that kind of thing. So yeah, obviously it's not the most important thing. Obviously, the big Wakanda expansion is their focus, I would assume. And then obviously Spider-Man will come after that. You would think. Along with whatever else other content they're wanting to make going forward. It'd be interesting to see if it's just you can play as Spider-Man or whether there will be actual story content. So I'm sure if you just put Spider-Man in the game, that'd be much quicker and easier to get done. But
just go ask Insomniac for their assets or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sort it out.
They had like 6, 7... No, they're like 10, 20 suits. Just sell all those skins, yeah.
Repurpose assets is fine. Everyone on Twitter over the last 48 hours discovered that game developers repurpose assets sometimes, and that was like a rude awakening. So shock horror there. That was one of my favorite things I've seen. Like shock horror. They're not every piece of grass in a video game is carefully its own singular piece.
How dare they not draw each individual blade of grass?
Yeah, it's fucking disgusting.
Ridiculous.
How dare they? how goddamn dare they? You should see how I make the thumbnails of these podcasts. I don't create the thumbnail every time. You know what I'm saying? It's an overlay. It's reused. It's fine. Yeah, I wouldn't be crossing my fingers and dot my toes that Spider-Man comes. Even with the release of Hawkeye, I nearly said Hawkman for a second. Maybe I've got DC on my mind or something at the moment. Hawkeye, given how everyone's been reacting to it and the fact that a lot of people are like, yeah, because from the people I follow who like the game, that even they are like, it's cool, I guess, but it's still fucking like didn't answer our biggest problem, which is like post game content or like fixed up all these other technical issues or whatever. I'm like, I don't know, like I don't know if we're gonna make it to the end of this roadmap if people just turn on the game. So like if their focus is putting out cool characters, I don't think cool characters is going to be enough to interest people who are like, the game's boring or it's technically just shitting me off. So in a lot of ways, I was thinking the other day, they have literally done what, to a degree, I think Crystal Dynamics has done the same game plan that BioWare tried to do with Anthem, and they've somehow got away with it. Which is that the game had a lot of shit for them to still do. Had a lot of like key things, content missing that people care about, or like technical issues and whatever else. And because BioWare's whole thing is, or EA told BioWare or whatever, said, don't need to do it now. It's a live service game. Fix it later. And I'm pretty sure that's what Crystal Dynamics have done here. They're like, it's a live service game. Get it out the door and we will fix the problems later. But now everyone's like, can you fix the problems while also making Spider-Man? And they're like, nah, don't know how to do that. Which one should we focus on? I think you should focus on fixing the key issues, but I don't know. That's just me.
Well, I don't. How do you fix post-game content?
You add it?
Except more content. You can't just magically click your fingers and...
No, you can't, but...
create it, yeah.
Like, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. People are like, I know the story in that Hawkeye DLC is kind of interesting, but it's still just like over, and then what do you do? So I'm like, okay, well, was the Hawkeye content...
You move on to the next game, maybe.
Should you... I don't know.
You know, you just come back when there's new story content.
I don't know, but you know the way people like to play these games? I get it to a degree, you know? People only play one or two games, and they're like, I just want to play a bunch of Avengers. You know, like, people always have a million things to do in Destiny or Division or some of the other games that give you more playable and interesting content. So I get it. And a lot of those people are playing Avengers hoping for the same or
but
similar...
is that on the player for expecting the game to be something?
No, because that is what they pitched this as. From day one, they were pitching this as a live service. You'll want to play it every day. They were pitching it as Division, Destiny, or whatever, but with Avengers characters. That's no one's making that up. That's literally how they've pitched it. Remember all those videos we saw earlier where they're like, oh wow, this literally just looks like Destiny's like menu. This looks like fucking... And they changed some of that before the full release, but it was like, come on.
Yeah.
Fucking, what are you doing here? All right, so Push Square writes, PS3, PS Vita, and PSP online stores to close this summer, says new report. According to a new report from Kirk McLeand, I think that what are we? Another bloody Irish, Scottish name, what are we talking about here? Come on. From the game, Sony plans to shutter the online stores associated with the PlayStation 3 console and handheld devices PSV, Vita, and PSP. This means you won't be able to purchase digital versions of any of these games listed on the storefronts. The PS3 and PSP shops are supposedly being taken offline on the 2nd of July 2021, while the PS Vita gets a little while longer until the 27th of August 21. Sony will confirm the news at the end of this month, with the information coming from a source familiar with the situation, according to the website in question. The question in the report, though, doesn't answer whether you'll still be able to download games you've already purchased past the proposed expiration dates. We have to assume you will, but
How?
Yeah, I guess. What are you going to do? Further spoilers. So, people have been tweeting, including like director Thomas Altenberg or whatever said, whose game is getting a PS Vita version next month. He states that the team knew about the PS Vita online store shuttering, with it being the last game to be approved and produced. So it seems like enough people have been sort of confirming this after the story and saying, yeah, this is what's happening, to say this is pretty much the real deal. Now, my original reaction was, who fucking cares? Because I was like, no one's still buying stuff on the store. But I guess that the key thing I didn't think about until I saw people like talking about it later on Twitter was, you know, like what if you can't download what you already own? Like what do you do then? And that's obviously the I would say the
Concern?
main concern here, and the one that I do think is worth getting somewhat concerned about, because this is definitely an example of why people don't like talking about or the old digital future. This is like the number one fear is, okay, I go old digital. Let's say I buy all my movies, my games, music on a certain platform. What happens when that platform goes under, decides to shut down, etc., etc., etc.? What happens then with all the money I spent on my games, music, movies, or whatever? And if their answer is, too bad, then I guess I could definitely understand why people would be upset. And then there's the other end of the stick, which is that people, you have a lot of conversations these days around what do you call it, like video game preservation. People that like do these museums and stuff like that, which are really cool. If you've ever been to one of those, when before COVID, when there was like certain one that traveled around Australia, they set up all these old games and like whatever else. And when we got to the digital age, especially when it came to games that are only available digitally, and that's the thing that sort of started in the PS3 generation, obviously, all these indie exclusive games that weren't getting physical releases and such. This is definitely the sort of thing where people are like, okay, so if you take the PlayStation Store offline, you take PSP Store online or whatever, what about a bunch of games that never got physical releases? They only exist digitally, or they're only available on these platforms, they never got remastered, they never got released on any other platforms. They are literally just going to up and disappear overnight. Like they'll just be gone. The only way to play them will be people out there who have actually downloaded them onto their PSPs or Vitas or what have you. And other than that, they're just going to completely disappear. And from a video game preservation point of view, I definitely get why that is concerning. Because I definitely do feel it's important preservation wise and stuff. And I definitely feel the video game industry, just because of where, like, if you look at movies or art, books, I don't know, art, any other art form throughout age of history, obviously because they're a lot older, the early years of all of those formats, they're very a lot easier to preserve, I guess, in to a degree. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of very older movies where the negatives are fucked or they got lost in fires and stuff like that, which is and people try to restore these burnt negatives and stuff like that, and I guess that's the thing. But they never had to deal with this old digital age where it's like, well, what happens if literally the company that owns it is just like, nah, don't give a fuck, turn it off. What do we do? So, how do you feel about all this?
As a user, I don't care. I mean, I think the number, obviously they've looked at the numbers and gone, we can't, the cost of keeping this alive is way more than the money that it's bringing in. From a historic standpoint or conservatory standpoint, obviously it's not great. But is that PlayStation's responsibility to keep things alive? Does everything need to be kept forever? Are people keeping copies of every single book that was ever published?
I guarantee.
Even the trashy, love romance novels.
I guarantee someone cares about that. Come on, you're not gonna believe someone doesn't care about that. There's someone out there that it doesn't have, like, whose hobby isn't collecting and preserving trashy romance novels that are $2 from Kmart. Come on, that's definitely someone's thing. Everyone has a thing. That's definitely someone's thing.
Yeah. But part of the thing is things get lost, and you can say, I remember there was a game called blah blah blah, and it's just not around anymore. It'll live in legend, and someone will remake it. They'll find some cool code or something. It's like the Lost Doctor Who episodes.
What? They keep finding those and putting them out. I don't think that's. I'm sure people will find a way. I mean, PT is still a thing, even though people haven't been able to download that for 4 or 5 years now. Yeah, however long. People just keeping it on the PlayStations forever.
Yeah,
Selling those PlayStations on eBay. It includes
as long as those
PC.
PS4 survive. Yeah.
That is another example that people had conversations about. Like, remember when Konami decided to remove it? It was like, should they be allowed to do that? And it's like, I don't know, I guess. But it's a bit of a shit move, but I guess they're allowed to do it. I guess. I get the other thing with all this is where you get what they call like limited run games and all those sorts of places who do a lot of the physical edition for games. It's a lot of the times it's just, oh, it's cool shiny collector's edition for a game, that's cool. But then when stuff like this happens, you kind of got to appreciate how a lot of those small indie games, which is primarily what they do physical editions for, this is where these things become important because, you know, they make 5,000 copies of X indie game, and then if the store closes or the Switch store closes one day or whatever that these games are available on, it's like, okay, well, how do I play it? Well, there's at least 5,000 copies of a physical copy of that game floating around out in the wild. So they do exist. Whereas the ones on here I'm saying who don't have physical copies and stuff, it's like, okay, well, RIP, shit out of luck, I guess. So I don't know if it should be Sony's job, but also in a better world, it would be nice if video game companies could work with someone to help preserve these things. I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, or even for a lot of these older games where it's like, who cares about the money at this stage? Just give the files to someone else who's happy to host it somewhere so people can buy. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, at some stage, is the money loss on a couple of these things worth it? For people who care, though, I saw Lance McDonald tweeted before, or shared a list on Twitter that was set up on the PS3 Reddit, where they've made a list of key games that you may want to care to buy now, download now, or care into looking to, which is pretty handy. If, like, as I said, I don't really care about all this, but I know some people will. So they've like broken down this list on Reddit to like, here's a best list of PS3 exclusives that are now available on PS4. Here's a list of well-received retail PS3 exclusives that haven't been remastered for PS4. And then as you go down, it gets to digital-only exclusive with mixed mediocre reviews, digital-only exclusive with negative reviews, all games that require the Wonderbook and PlayStation Move, exclusive games only released in Japan, multi-platform games of the 7th generation that haven't been ported to PS4, etc., etc., etc. It's a key list. It's not like a list of every PS3 game. It's focused on mostly exclusive to the platform, or ones that you can't get elsewhere, or ones that haven't been ported, or this sort of stuff. And I saw some other conversations around, especially when it come to the PSP, because of the PS1 classics. That was like a big part of that library, and a big thing that a lot of people use the PSP for. So a lot of people like, oh man, this sucks. This is like my favorite way to replay PS1 games and stuff like that. So I don't know. Add the PS1 classics to the PlayStation 5 store. Fucking, I don't know. Like, surely, just do it. Like, how hard can it be? I mean, it's probably not that hard. I mean, I'm sure it requires work. The biggest problem was old Jimmy Ryan, primarily.
Yeah.
I don't know if it says in this article. No, they don't. I didn't. Anyway, Jim Ryan, in case anyone doesn't remember, hates backwards compatibility. I don't even think I'm overshooting.
Well, I don't think hate's a strong word. I think he doesn't understand why people care about.
Fuck.
He doesn't understand why people want old games.
Yeah, like, literally doesn't like, and it's not even me. And it's like, you and I have the same feeling here, which is, we don't care. I don't give a fuck about this. Everything I'm saying is from the point of view of me trying to think about it from someone else's point of view, right? I actually do not care. I'm not going to miss these stores. I give zero fucks personally about these stores disappearing. I'm not going to care. I'm not going to open up my PSP tomorrow and be like, man, I can't download this thing. Don't really give a fuck. So, which is pretty much like, and to the degree, even I'm like, why would you want to play an older, worse looking version of a game that you can play on the PS4 or something like that? So, and all of that is exactly what Jim Ryan says. And I to a degree, I'm like, I get what you're saying. I feel like it too, but he doesn't have the apparent ability to go, to understand why some people do care, you know, like doesn't get the appeal, especially anytime someone brings up Xbox's backwards compatibility and these sorts of things, and he just goes, "Who gives a fuck?" Like there was a quote somewhere I saw on Twitter before from an interview where he was like, "Oh, I was at I'm sure it was like old now because he says something about being somewhere, which he definitely hasn't been somewhere because COVID." So he said he was like somewhere and he saw people playing Gran Turismo games, and he was like, "Man, Gran Turismo 1 and 2 look bad. Why would anyone want to play those?" And then you know, you get other people like, "That's my favorite Gran Turismo. That's why I want to play it because it brings me all these childhood memories." And he's like, "Childhood memories? Back in my day, we didn't have a childhood, you know, like."
Yeah, we didn't have childhood memories, so that's not a thing.
Yeah, it's not a thing. I don't understand it. Don't get it at all.
Back when I was a child, I did not have childhood memories, so it doesn't matter to me.
Back when I was a child, we used to live in a box on the street. Box in the street? You're lucky to have. If anyone that gets that reference, good job. I appreciate you. You can reach out to me and tell me that's your favorite Monty Python skit as well. Thank you very much. It's a great skit. All right, last of us TV show news. PlayStation Productions news. Eurogamer writes that the Last of Us TV show will at times deviate greatly from the game. HBO's adaptation of Naughty Dog's The Last of Us, in an interview with IGN, Druckman confirmed that while some of the dialogue will be lifted directly from the game, it was more important to secure, quote, the philosophical underpinnings of the story, end quote, than worry about details such as should a character wear the same plaid shirt or the same red shirt, blah, 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 blah. He said, quote, that's way less important to us than getting to the core of who these people are and the core of their journey. Things sometimes stay pretty close. It's funny to see my dialogue there from the game in the HBO scripts, and sometimes they deviate greatly to much better effect because we are dealing with a different medium. He continued saying, for example, in the game, there's so much action you have to have to train the player about mechanics. You have to have more violence and more spectacle to some degree than you would need on a TV show because you don't need to train people on how to use a gun. So there's something really different about it. And HBO's been great in pushing us to move away from hardcore action and focus more on the drama of the characters. Some of my favorite episodes so far have deviated greatly from the story, and I can't wait for people to see them. Druckman also confirmed that prosthetic tests are currently underway for the clicker, and his first glimpse of it was awesome, saying quote, it's so rad to see this thing come physically to life, end quote. Yeah, so
can't believe they're going to put him in different clothes. It's ridiculous.
You say that, but let me get two predictions out here straight away, because when this, I saw in the comment section when the story went up a couple days ago, late last week or whenever it was, I look in the comment section on Twitter, whoever posted it, and of course, people go, whoa. Let's not go too crazy. You know, what? You're going to change stuff from the game? People are going to flip their lid when this comes out. Let me make that my first reaction. When this comes out and so many things are changed from the game, because they're going to be changed from the game, people are going to fucking hate this, and they're going to turn on it, and they're going to chuck their little internet gamer rage things. And then you're making jokes about the clothes being changed. I guarantee there will be at least a 24 to 48 hour period when we see the first official photos of Ellie and Joel, and they're not wearing the classic costume that they have in the poster from the first game, you know, like the box art and that sort of stuff. They're not going to be wearing the exact same clothes, and people for 48 hours are going to go ballistic. That's my prediction.
Why is Joel wearing a Hawaiian t-shirt?
Yes.
It's ridiculous.
I'm telling you, it's going to happen. I don't know if he'll be wearing a Hawaiian t-shirt, but I mean...
Fingers crossed.
Who knows? Maybe Pedro Pascal's like, look, guys, I'm a big star now. I'm in The Mandalorian. You may have heard of me. I was in Wonder Woman 1984. Yeah. It's a pretty shit movie, but I was in it. I was the best part of it.
See?
Everyone agrees I was the best part of it.
You've seen the memes?
He's turned into Donald Trump now. Everyone agrees I am the best part of Wonder Woman 1984.
Listen, life is good, but it could be better.
And then as he said that, he said, I'll only sign on to do this if you let me wear a Hawaiian t-shirt. Yeah. What a guy. Pulling his strings. Doing what he's got to do, you know. But no, does any of this scare you, or you just, I
No.
assume you're a sane person and go, yep, cool, that sounds about right.
Yes, I'm a sane person. Tell the story that they want to tell. It has been. When did Last of Us come out?
Fucking like 2013, right?
Yeah, so it's like 8 years old. Things changed. The public opinions. I'm sure that Jill Druckman's had thoughts about how we would do certain things differently if he got another chance. So this is kind of his way of being able to tackle that.
I guess you can tell Druckman, right? He's kind of reminds me of Kojima, where it's like, here's a guy who's in the video game industry who obviously wants to be making movies, or like is heavily inspired by movies, but isn't in the video game industry, So that's like a lot of his storytelling is cinematic and whatever else. Yet, unfortunately, because video games being video games, he has to funnel through the video game structure, which is, and this is what me and Kieran talked about in our replay of The Last of Us. Like it was like really enjoying the story beat, but forced fight, another little bit of story, forced fight, another little bit of story, and it's kind of like annoying to a degree. I don't know. Like the big question you always have is like, if you take out so many of the fights, will people go, game too short, or just walking sim, or this sort of stuff? People would complain too much. So it's like, I don't know how you fix that. But at the same time, it's like you can't directly translate. How do you directly translate video game bullshit into a TV show? You can't do it. It's not how it works. That's not the real thing. So of course it's going to change.
It could just be as simple. What they're talking about as simple as, we're going to focus a little bit on characters who aren't shown in a league. We're going to focus maybe a scene or two on one of the other characters, the villains or whatever, which would be a departure from the game.
And I'll be all about it. That's kind of what I want to actually happen. We shall see. I expect we're getting a lot of updates to this throughout the year.
PSVR for the players.
In big VR news, of course, last week, PlayStation officially revealed the PS5 VR controllers, or whatever the PSVR 2, PSVR, PlayStation VR, PS5 VR. I don't know what we're calling it. They officially revealed the controllers for it. Kotaku writes, Sony shared a glimpse of new controllers that will be a part of its next-gen VR add-on for the PS5 in a blog post today, and they look nothing like the glowing wands used for the company's existing PSVR headset. The new controls are almost like an optical illusion and also have a lot more in common with the Oculus, with what the Oculus uses. There are thumb sticks and face buttons at the ends of both, with triggers on the underside. Then there's a plastic spiral that encases the hand, like a mini version of the orb Jodie Foster used to visit the afterlife dimension in Contact. Who wrote this? Ethan Gash? I pay that. Good job. Here are some of the technical features they'll include. Adaptive triggers. Each VR controller left and right includes an adaptive trigger button that adds palpable tension when pressed, similar to what's found in the DualSense controller. If you've played a PS5 game, you'll be familiar with the tension in the L2 and R2 buttons when you press them, such as when you're drawing your bow to fire an arrow. When you take that kind of mechanic and apply it to VR, the experience is amplified to the next level. Haptic feedback. The new controller will have haptic feedback optimized for its form factor, making every sensation in the game world more impactful. Textures and nuance. When you're traversing through rocky desert or trading blows in melee combat, you'll feel the difference, magnifying the extraordinary visual and audio experience that's so central to VR. Finger touch detection. The controller can detect your fingers without pressing in any areas where you place your thumb, index, or middle fingers. This enables you to make more natural gestures with your hands during gameplay. And tracking. The VR controller is tracked by the new VR headset through a tracking ring across the bottom of the controller. These controllers also have a dedicated grip function bound to the R1 and L1 buttons. Presumably, no matter what game you're playing, those will be the buttons you use to pick up and manipulate objects in VR. And of course, they showed off one picture for it. And I think much like when they announced the original VR2 thing, I think they're getting this out the gate because they're starting to send these out to developers now. So again, I think that, like, as to the question of why PlayStation blog post information dump random. I think it's just because they're like, this is probably going to leak. We're sending them out tomorrow to developers because they already set the dev kits out. We're sending out the official controllers. Here it is. So people can't leak this shit on us. So that's how it felt.
Yeah.
When you saw these, what's your reaction?
I was like, rip move.
Yeah.
Thank God. Finally putting it out of his misery. Laboring along for so many years. Just when you think it was dead, it gets another life, So finally getting put down.
Well,
I mean, yeah. Well, it looks cool. It looks similar to other VR controllers that we've seen so far. So optimistic. And I mean, the way it's designed, I mean, potentially you could still use it to play PlayStation if you're not even using a PS5, using VR. Like, you could potentially play games.
I don't know if it would let you, though, I guess.
Why not?
Maybe
all the buttons are there.
Maybe it doesn't recognize. Maybe the games won't recognize it as
a controller. Why not?
I don't know. Maybe they just won't. Maybe they just won't officially recognize it as a.
I think you should just. I think it'd be very difficult to play certain games with that button layout, but if your DualSense's got no battery and you're like, you got no cord.
Gotta do what you gotta do. I know you can test that out. Right, you can be the first in the world. Write that article. Get the 1 million hits.
We'll play. When they come out, we'll play Apex. See how we go.
Get a win. There's the video. There's our first 1 million hits on YouTube. That's how it gets famous.
Yeah.
Got to win in Apex using the VR2 controllers. Got them. So obviously this is really exciting. This is exactly what we've been talking about wanting. As that article says, they very much as soon as I saw them, I was like, okay, so these are heavily taking inspiration from the Quest controllers because not only because that's what I've used the most, but just the general design of them very much seems like it's inspired by the Quest controller. The Quest has the ring circle that you put your hand like sort of in at the top. It has a bunch of face buttons. It has the analog stick. It has the grip thing on the side. It has you can lift your index, thumb and all that up inside the controller and it senses the placement so you can give thumbs up and point at things in the game and all this sort of stuff. So it very much seems like it's at least somewhat inspired by that, which is fine. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, obviously. The ring or the grip placement of the VR2 controllers is obviously a lot different, whereas the Quest controller just has a ring at the top. These ones are like, we're going to stick your fucking hand. Like it's like you're sticking a hand in a glove almost or something it looks like, like it's...
I think it's to protect yourself in case you accidentally smash something. Well,
I mean, possibly. That would be funny if that's the legit reasoning behind it, I guess.
Sorry. We keep hitting things. Let's put a protective layer around it so we stop hurting our hands.
I've accidentally smashed my Quest controls on like the side of my desk while playing VR and stuff like that, and they've survived, so it's still working. It's fine. Obviously, the other cool announcements or confirmations as part of this is, all the things that they sort of hinted at previously, adaptive triggers, haptic feedback, and all this sort of stuff. Yes, that's going to make a big difference in VR. Like, that's a lot of cool PS3 tech, but I think even back when they announced and they said stuff about DualSense, you can probably, I swear I remember saying back then, like, oh, this would have been really, this would be really cool in VR or something like that, because it could be inside next generation. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then I guess the other big takeaway is, and I already kind of assumed this, of course, but them saying that the tracking for the controllers is done via the headset, and I'm still going to say the headset is going to use, whatever, I don't actually know the name of technology, but like what the Quest uses and stuff where it can read around you. It doesn't need, it uses its own sensors. It doesn't need a light or a camera or whatever else to track the camera. So I still think that, and what I'm taking away from all this is it is simple as one cord, front of the PlayStation, off you go, play VR. You don't need a camera to track the headset. You don't need a camera to track the controllers. It'll be ultra fucking simple. Everyone will enjoy it. It'll be a massive success. Good job, everyone. Like, well, that's what I'm hoping, at least. Presuming. And then I guess the other thing I was thinking with this is like, where was it? It was like nearly a month ago, it feels at this stage. I don't know. Maybe it was like 3 weeks ago when they announced the PSVR 2. Or announced, quotation marks. Then we've got the announcement of these. I feel like we could be getting more information about this sooner than we originally thought, maybe. I don't know, like, because when they announced it in that blog post, I was like, okay, so we probably won't, this is it. We won't hear about this until...
For a long time, yeah.
Like 6+ months at this stage. I thought it was just going to be a blog post, done, shut up, never talking about it again type thing. I feel like maybe they're going to dripple out some more slower information and stuff. I guess the other big key / important thing could be they sent out dev kits of the PSVR 2 to people. We know dev kits have gone out to developers for that. Cool story. I'm saying that they've released this information because they're sending the official controllers to people. So obviously, if they got set, they don't. People who got set the dev kit don't need the official controllers to begin playing with the dev kit for developing game. That's not exactly how that works. A lot of the times, if you ever watch developer videos, people are developing games for PlayStation and they have shitty Xbox controllers, that's how they're testing the game because it's not important at that time, right? But they're sending these out to developers now, I presume, for them to go, here's the official controller, have a play, sort of thing. They've already got the dev kits, they're playing around. I'm going to say that Sony would surely at this stage already have a bunch of games towards the end of development for PSVR 2 that they could potentially show us in where are we now? We're nearly in fucking April, eh? April, May, June, July.
Almost. Shit.
I could be going insane, but honestly, at this stage, I could see something around that E3 period, maybe. Cause I'm basing this solely on them having a finished, like, here's the consumer version of what the controllers look like. I'm like, okay, so does that mean you're like you've locked in the headset as well? Because I would assume they have, or at least would be 90% locked on the final design of the headset if the controllers are locked in, because I feel like they would be done, the final look would be something in tandem, because I know there is a degree of they want them to look good on a poster. You know what I mean? Like they want the headset and the controllers to look good together, like get those final images sort of thing like that. So I'm like, surely that means the headset's along the way. Surely that means they've got at least some games first party towards the end of development. Could they officially announce this around that E3 period? No release date. I'm still going to say the release date for this could be, I'm going to stick my hand out and say early 2022 is like my guess at this stage. Maybe even around this time next year, like March next year could be a good point to release it. But they could certainly like announce it or show off something or whatever at E3 and then slowly trickle out and tease more details throughout the year for that early 2022 release date. So I don't know. How are you feeling? Am I insane or?
No, I think anything is possible at this point. I think we all thought that it's a long way off, but if they're putting out dev kits and already got controllers, ideas and things in the works, it's very possible. Unless they want to fine tune it more and that kind of thing, that could be the thing that delays it even more. So I don't know. Yeah, as long as as long as it works. I mean, that's obviously they're doing a completely different system to what they use for PSVR. So
yes,
don't know. Yeah,
I feel like the counter argument to this would be, but Dylan, it's like the first year of the brand new console. Maybe they like if you're talking about that E3 period, if PlayStation does a showcase, surely it would be focused on PlayStation 5 games and stuff. I would say yes, but also if they want to rope me back into that thing I've talked about several times where Shuhei's like, PSVR is important, it's important to our platform, blah, 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 blah. I think if they come out and they did a showcase where they're like, PS5 game, here's Horizon, here's something else, like here's a bunch of heavy hitters, here's a bunch of indie games, and then and then amongst all of that, they showed off like one teaser trailer for one cool PSVR 2 game. They showed off like a hype teaser video for PSVR 2 and was like, it's coming 2022 or something like that. And, I'm not going crazy. I just, a teaser for these sorts of things. And I think putting it within the showcase of some other big things would, to me, go, okay, PlayStation VR is still important to PlayStation. They're talking about it alongside all these big PS5 games. It's not the second brand that gets its different. It doesn't get a different showcase or different. It doesn't come out on a different day of the week. Like I think that would be cool for people who care about for people who care about PlayStation VR to know that it is still important to PlayStation. It's not the sidekick. It's a big platform. We shall see though. All right, that'll do it for this week's episode of Platinum Explosion. You can let us know any questions, comments, or concerns you have about any of the things we talked about this week or the show itself. You can find us all on Twitter by heading to explosionnetwork.com/Twitter. You can let us know more thoughts on our Discord, explosionnetwork.com/Discord. And if you liked this episode and thought it was a good one to listen to and or watch, you can head on over to our Ko-fi page, explosionnetwork.com/support, and buy us a coffee for as little as $1. And until next week, remember that every trophy counts. Hey, don't forget you can subscribe to the show wherever you're currently listening, and you can drop a review if you can. Find more great shows like this and more content over at explosionnetwork.com, and please consider supporting us for as little as $1 over on our Ko-fi page by heading to explosionnetwork.com/support. Thanks for listening.